Hello, I'm Leroy Garcia, and this is Blue Rain Gallery Podcast. Today, we're honored with the presence of Sean Diediker, who I've been working with for about 20 years, off and on. I think what we're going to do today is go ahead and give you a visual journey of the exhibition. And we're going to start with some of the older pieces and work into some of the new pieces, and maybe talk about the transition. When I first met Sean, he had an academy where he was teaching and influencing young artists outside the BYU School of Art and, well, let's say the Salt Lake Valley, right? Anyways, this is Sean Diediker. Welcome.
Thanks. Good to see you, Leroy. It's like a brother to me.
Nice
Known
to
him for
have you.
20-something years. My goodness.
It's been a journey. All right, well, let's start. Let's
All
start.
right.
Let's start with some of this work over here, which I think is beautiful. And the stylization that Sean's gone through his journey, I mean, he's capable of painting anything. And I think we should reference too, you can go back to our blueraingallery.com podcast on the menu, and you can go to the first interviews of Sean where we talked about canvassing the world, where he was published to PBS through a series of going through journeys all over the world and then ending up with a painting about the journey at the end. And so he's very skilled. He's also, from that early podcast, you'll know that he has history here in New Mexico. As a grandfather, I think, had a trading post in the Farmington area.
Yeah, there's a painting right around the corner of that very trading
Right,
post.
right. So we're going to talk about that. So let's talk about a little bit. What we're going to talk about first here is more of the Western heritage style of painting, right? And so give us a little bit of inspiration of where you're headed and what you were thinking about and what you wanted to convey.
Well, look, for me, Leroy, painting has always just been about, the subject is oftentimes an excuse to just put paint down. And so because I have some Southwestern heritage, my granddad had a trading post in Star Lake. And so that always hit close to home. Even though I'm a white guy from the suburbs in LA, we still had Kachina dolls and Navajo rugs and all that stuff. And so I was always drawn to that, you want to know what your heritage is. And so a lot of these paintings on this side are about that very thing. There's some contemporary stuff. I just like the process of moving paint around. Yeah. And sometimes you have to have a subject for that. Sometimes you don't. I don't want to go all the way abstract, but I just enjoy the making process. And so this imagery as I'm looking around, you can't go over them all, but each one had here's what I want to try. With this particular one, I wanted to try stylizing the rocks and the clouds, so it wasn't super hyper naturalistic. I wanted to move away from that. So
well, when I see your work, I see a lot of ethereal parts to it. It's not exactly perfectly defined. It's kind of like you're proposing an image for somebody else to translate, even though it's distinctively a native guy with a headdress, right?
Yes.
But it's also ethereal all the way around.
Yeah, with this one, you're looking at the one with a woman from the Turtle Chippewa tribe. That's fairly academic, and after I painted that, I wanted to go more stylization. Let's push that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's go talk about this one,
All
because that was a good reference, and I think you used one of my props, right? And I was talking to him about this piece in particular, and the blanket is a contemporary version and probably woven in the 1940s, but it's a takeoff of a third phase chief's blanket. And so I gave that to Sean, and he painted this painting based on that.
Yeah. This is Tiffany, Turtle Chippewa tribe. She lives in Utah, and the background is Diamond Fork Canyon, which there's a couple other pieces in here about that. But that's kind of my escape, and so we set up a whole scene, and yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Love this painting, yeah.
Yeah, it came out nice.
Felt authentic.
Let's talk a little bit about this trading post again. Yeah, just to remind people, because that's your heritage, and the traders in the Southwest were very important in how they influenced the Native American cultures. We were talking about that third phase, but in the beginning, you had the first, second, third phases that were basically hardcore Native American type of weavings. But as the traders came in the 1880s with the railroads, they started influencing the Native community, especially the Navajo Nation, and influenced by Persian rugs and all this stuff. But these trading posts are very important for those reasons. And so a lot of the contemporary rugs have a trace or lineage down to little trading posts like this.
Yeah. Well, I think everything on this side of the room is directly influenced from this. It was an old black and white photograph. This is my granddad's trading post. I took some liberties with some storms in the background, but yeah, that's the heritage. That's why I paint some of the things that I do.
Yeah. So what I like about Sean is the diversity. So this is his Southwestern genre, but a couple years ago we asked him to participate in a show we had for Balloon Fiesta. And so this is a wonderful piece as well.
I haven't seen this one in a minute. That's right.
Well, you can go to bluerainprintshop.com and find this on some luggage or something, but it's a beautiful painting. It's very like Monet-ish, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's elements of that. The application, and we'll touch on this with the new paintings, totally different application. Like the underpainting's totally different. I use totally different tools, and it was a larger format. And so, you know, whereas oftentimes I'd be sitting down painting, trying to play with more accuracy, this was more about have an accident, take it off, put it back on, and just keep doing that until you have the image.
And this is mostly like palette knife, looks like, right?
Palette knife, squeegees, wiping off, even with my own hands. How often do you want to do this in a painting and just do that? I did that.
Moving
I
paint.
do it. Yeah.
Moving paint. Yeah. Your influence from your Bridge Academy has had influence through many generations. When I think about like a Matthew Sievers, because that's exactly what he does. But you've been doing this for even before he thought about painting. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool stuff. All right, let's go look at the new stuff. Oh my gosh, where do we start?
No.
This is such beautiful work, man.
Thanks, man.
Let's start with the masterpiece.
My favorite, yeah, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at Canvassing the World, which you can get, where can you find it?
It's nationwide on PBS.
On PBS. So you can go to pbs.com or pbs.org or whatever it is.
PBS Passport, and you can even stream it now.
Okay, you can stream it. And so Sean would do these shows, and at the end, he'd paint a painting based on his interaction with the local people. But what I liked about it was you were capturing passion of the environment. And when I saw this new body of work, I'm like, this is also passion. But give us the inspiration behind the environment. What are you trying to convey?
And these ones? Well, well, the honest truth is, in a lot of these, it was more about the process than the subject. I had an inkling of a subject, but in this particular one, you can see underneath, I did an incredibly violent underpainting. I did it outside in my backyard. I let everything go. There was no control. It was a car accident. So rather than what I normally do, which is having a lot of control as I'm laying the paint down, it's almost like I had to edit out what I didn't want there. And the stuff that stayed behind, like this little mark down here is my favorite thing. You got so many layers.
It almost looks like Levi's over here, man.
Yeah, but that informed, like even in her dress here, there's elements right down to the underpainting. And so it's almost the exact opposite workflow that I'm used to. And the results have been interesting. To me, it feels alive, and that was the whole point. And it doesn't necessarily feel all the way finished. I wanted it to feel somewhat like an idea or a sketch or a movement. And we did a series a while back, Black and Whites, where that same idea was implemented, but it was black and white. So I wanted to take it further with the painting, and these are the results of that process.
So what inspired you about the subject matter in this? Where did you come up with that?
I just,
It's a very passionate piece.
Yes, I agree. I wanted to touch on that space between two people that's kind of a sacred space or a convergence, where it's not necessarily erupting in passion, but it's like a safety place. It's a contentment. That contentment, and just navigating the world as a human right now, there's not a lot of that. Everyone's in an isolated bubble, but I don't believe that. I'm still a romantic at heart, and it's like, hey, the most beautiful moments in life are when two people can converge and be totally themselves. And hopefully this painting, translates.
I think it's one of the best paintings I've ever seen. It's so good.
Thanks.
It belongs in a museum. We'll get there someday on this one. Here's another wonderful example of some more of that same thought process.
Same idea. Again, this flower style. This is kind of that, the exploration of for an individual finding a similar safe space or a contentment, a femininity, if you will. And same process, very violent underpainting, decide what to leave, decide what to edit out. And yeah, just working in reverse, really. All of these do that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic piece.
Thanks. This was the first of that too. But doing the figures.
Did that come first?
I did so with the balloons was non-figurative. It's like, will this process work with figures? Maybe not. And so this was the first one that actually worked. There's a couple disasters that you'll never see. Those get painted over and whatnot. But yeah.
Well, that's funny because sometimes painters will paint something and they're like, this is not working. And they won't throw the canvas out. They'll just sand it down and start over.
Yes.
Right?
In fact, the underpainting, that process is very much that.
Yeah.
Do it upside down, the whole thing. And it's like, okay, it could be whatever it's going to be. Maybe it's not meant for this, but sometimes it's like, oh, this image, this design, this application will work on this overpainting. Let's see if we can make it.
Oh, yeah. And is this a person you met, or is this out of your general imagination?
I do paint people that I like. The one of Patrick over there and a few others.
Yeah.
And Walking Star and Tiffany. Yes, those are people I know. These ones I've moved away from that a little bit.
It's just more amorphic.
You get too invested in the person. Does it look just like them? I wanted to step away from that. So, I love using my Procreate on the iPad, and I'll take photos of people that I painted in the past, find paintings from old masters that I like, and with tech now, you can merge it, you can do all kinds of stuff with it, and I always believe that when you're painting, you're creating a third person anyway.
Yeah.
So in reality, this is the example of that.
Fantastic piece, and I like the floral arrangement on the top, if that's what you want to interpret to be.
I think it's pretty clearly flowers.
Right on. Okay, and this is one of my favorite. When I saw this, it blew me away because I love Western heritage stuff in general, and this is a great cowboy scene, and it's a little bit on the Monet side, and the same, it's kind of suggestive of the leaves in the fall and whatever. But give me some info on this one.
Well, I like to ride. I like to round up, and my uncle Roger, we always rode. We do fall rides
From Albuquerque?
by Los Alamos. Yeah, we go he had a ranch out by Los Alamos. But as far as the painting goes, this one was more about the. I was looking at a lot of Andrew Wyeth. I love his design. Yeah. I'm like, oh, Andrew, how can I get a moment that I'm having, or someone else might have a solitary figure? But this was more about the abstraction of these leaves and what they do. It's not obvious. You go straight to the horse. It's the bulk of the composition is just textural, and I don't really do that. And so I wanted to see if I could make that work.
I love paintings that have material on them. There's a lot of painters that you can still see the canvas. Threads through. They're not putting a lot of stuff on there, and I love that. And then, so you have a lot of palette stuff going on here. Yep. Maybe a little bit of brush. I don't know. It looks more like palette.
A little bit of both. Yeah. In the leaves, a lot of palette, and then the brushwork me in the horse and in the tree and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I love there's parts like this where it's like, okay, once that's dry, then you can go and you can just make just a totally spontaneous mark. If it's dry and if it doesn't work, you can wipe it off. But these marks work. That's working. Leave it. Yeah. That part I enjoy. That's what I mean about mark making and the actual process rather than the subject.
I have another question for you. Since you were close to the BYU facilities, did Maynard Dixon have any influence on you?
Sure,
because that's one of the biggest collections of Maynard Dixon, right?
Any guy that or gal that painted a horse or a Western landscape, which we see permeated through the Southwest, I think Maynard Dixon influenced them at some point.
Oh, at least. Or another. Color palette or otherwise, right?
Yeah, all of it. And BYU's museum has one of the largest collections of Maynard Dixon anywhere. They started grabbing them early, so the students would see that and go, oh, I really like that, and then, just kind of.
So the influence. There's a lot of great artists coming out of that Utah scene because of that, I think.
Including my own. I mean, I'll look at like certain clouds. When I'm stuck on clouds or something like that, I'm like, what would Maynard do? In fact, the one with the buffalo over there,
yeah.
I actually took a small section of one of his clouds and I totally morphed it on my iPad.
Oh, nice.
And tried to make it work with the buffalo, so that applies. So yeah, there's definitely Maynard Dixon influence there.
A lot of education over here. So wonderful. And then there's another beautiful scene. I love this new body of work. And what was the influence on this one? Because this looks more like a native girl in a way, but
again,
she's kind of darker.
The idea is I wasn't considering race, or it was more of what is the subject thinking? What is the environment around the subject? And this one's the preponderance of elsewhere number 2. The first one's over there, but it was the idea of, this place, those quiet spaces that people find where all the noise of the world is gone. But again, like the others, this is all about the textural exploration, building all the way from the bottom, trying to make marks that, they feel like flowers, but in reality, I mean, it's a
moving
mess,
paint.
yeah. But it's a mess with some harmony and some structure.
I
Like
didn't even realize you have words on here.
Yeah, I'll write in there. And there's a reason for that. I get too caught up in it's got to be good, it's got to be accurate. And doing that, it makes it feel like a bathroom wall in a way. It's like it's graffiti or like you're writing in the concrete. It's not finished. And so in my mind, it's still sketchy, if that makes sense. And it allows me to make bolder marks. Like, it's one of my favorite marks on the whole thing right here. And it's just like, that shouldn't have happened, but it did, and it worked. And by keeping that mentality where it's still a sketch, it doesn't have to be this refined, Da Vinci. It's not going to be that. It's not supposed to be that.
Yeah. So if you were to say the artist that you most emulated on a painting like this, who would that be?
Oh, good question. Mm-hmm. I'll give Jeremy Mann credit. I liked his figures and whatnot. Some of his tools, I think Jeremy Mann.
Oh yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah, the tools that he used, like I didn't use rollers or anything like this. I bought a giant palette knife. I got a palette knife that's like that long now, and I'm really enjoying. Sit down in front of it, make a decision that's the right decision, and then execute. You don't have to noodle and smooth it all out. And so this is my favorite mark on this painting. This was from the underpainting. It was dripping. I turned it upside down. And the whole point of this was let's leave this. Let's see how we can make that work and leave it. Because this is not a mark I would ever make if I'm trying to have control.
So the words you've kind of scratched into the deep paint, is it just kind of abstract words?
Yeah, it's like
a suggestion.
Hey, there's lyrics to Led Zeppelin in there. There's, I just floated the river with my dog.
Oh my gosh!
Just like I enjoy it with my kids, I'll let them sketch stuff in there. And yeah, there's bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man. It's good stuff. And then obviously I skipped through a couple of these, but the landscapes, because I don't see like a lot of like pure landscapes for you. Usually it's like an edifice or something with a landscape.
Yeah.
But now these are just straight up landscapes.
I enjoy beautiful spaces. I drive my truck and I'll park and camp overnight, pop the top.
I've been watching your Instagram and the camping is happening.
I look for those spaces. That's where the designs come. And these are some of those. This is something I see as I pop the trunk up in the morning on the 4Runner. And it's like, that's beautiful. I want to share that just for the sake of the beauty of the space. I don't have any political agenda with it or any mood. It's just like, I think that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. That might make a good painting.
Well, it definitely is a beautiful painting. What I'll say is, like, we have a lot of collectors that buy beautiful homes, and they don't know what to put in as a signature piece. These are great for a signature piece for a home. They really are. If you want to beautify your home, think about collecting a Sean Diediker as a signature piece in your home. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Like to thank everybody. Like to encourage everybody to go to our website under the main menu bar podcast and see this wonderful guy's work, as well as many of our other artists. Also, we'd like to encourage everybody to go to our online store, bluerainprintshop.com, where you can bring art into your everyday life, including stuff by Sean Diediker.